topics. So if you remember this, we have discussed this one, okay? A product is said to possess demand only when it fulfills all these three conditions, not any one. Remember, it fulfill all the three conditions. You remember this, okay? Desire to buy, enough purchasing power. Next, though you have enough purchasing power, you should also be willing to buy for that product at that particular price. Okay, only then a product is said to possess demand. We have even discussed this with a general example. We're talking to Mr. Raghu. Then, before we go to the next topic, just have a look at what is demand. Okay, it means backed up, some demand for a product backed up by enough purchasing power from consumers' point of view and willing to pay for that price. Okay, so that is the general uh, concept or definition of demand. Now we'll look at this topic as it is a part of your syllabus. We'll just cover these things in general. Okay, what are the factors affecting demand? It means whether a product has demand or not. So how it is being affected. For example, the two groups have presented their products, right? Then you can also have a chance to analyze whether these products, these factors are in favor or against your product. Who is that madam? She has muted. She's unmuted and talking to someone. So those who have presented their presentation, you can just have a look at whether these factors are in favor of your products or not. Just give me 1 second. Screen is stuck. Okay, it's working. Chalo. So these are the factors in general. Okay, so all of you listen carefully. Just as I'm talking here, just all of you listen. Remember, whatever factors we are studying now, we're going to look at now. These are very general factors. In fact, there can be n number of factors which you can just speak, which you can spot out, which will affect the demand of your product. Okay, so these factors which we are going to see now are in general applicable to agricultural products. So remember, these principles of economics, okay, or these concepts of economics have been formulated keeping agriculture and agricultural products as the main type of business. Okay, so taking of course other businesses will also borrow these principles, but when you look at these factors, they're in fact more applicable to agriculture or agricultural products. Okay, so we'll go ahead. The first one, price of the commodity. So you know that obviously when the price of a product is less, usually people start buying more and more. In fact, that we'll study in the law of demand. That is law of demand. Okay, you can see here, amount of commodity demanded is more. Okay, that is when the price is less, the product demanded, quantity demanded by the product is more. The relation between price and demand is called the law of demand. In fact, the law of demand says both are inversely related. Okay, higher the price, lesser the quantity demanded, and lesser the price, higher is the quantity demanded. So the first factor we can say which affects demand is price. Okay, so we don't need to discuss much on this. Then income of the consumer, right? When we predict or when our income increases, right, even then an increase in the income of the consumer will also increase in the demand of a product. So how are they related to each other? Income of the consumer and the quantity demanded. We can just write Q. You can just write QD. Quantity demanded of a product are directly related, remember. Okay, so income increases, even the quantity demanded of the product also increases from a consumer's point of view. Okay, so this is how, these are the factors which will influence. Then prices of related goods. So this is somewhat a bit complicated topic, but it's very easy. See, first, what are related goods? So this is how you will try to understand. Okay, two goods are said to be related to one another if the change in price of one good affects the quantity demanded by the other good. I'll repeat it again. I'll repeat it. Two goods are said to be related to each other when any change in the price of a good results in the change of quantity demanded of the other good. So let us assume two goods A and B. Okay, two goods A and B. Then these two goods are said to be related to one another when the price of A is changed, whether it is increased or decreased. Okay, when a change in price of A leads to a change in the quantity demanded, QD, quantity demanded of B, then such goods are said to be related goods. They are said to be related to one another. I think the concept is clear. So when a question comes, what are related goods, you should say this. Two goods are said to be related to one another when a change in price of one good affects the quantity demanded by the other good, quantity demanded of the other good. Then such goods are said to be related. Okay. Then related goods are two types: substitute goods and complementary goods. Okay. So, and what are substitute goods? So the change in price of a substitute effect on the commodities demand in the same direction. Same direction means, so first I'll tell you example of substitutes. You can see here, tea and coffee. Okay. For example, if the price of coffee is increased, then what happens? Its related good, that is tea, then the quantity demanded for tea increases. So that means there is a positive curve, positive relationship between tea and coffee. Okay, sorry, tea and coffee, yes. So price of one good increases, then the quantity demanded of its related good increases. Both are increasing. So this relationship is said to be positive relationship. Now, can I expect from someone the definition of substitutes as I spoke with respect to related goods? Two goods are said to be related to one another. I just said a sentence. Can someone repeat the same thing? Instead of using related goods, you can use substitutes. You can just give a try. Okay, listen once again.
Electronic good.
No, I'm just asking you to repeat the definition. I told you related goods. Two goods are said to be related to one another when a change in the price of one good affects the quantity demanded of the other of its related good of the other good. This is related goods ki definition. Now I'll tell what are substitutes. How you can define substitute goods. Two goods are said to be substitutes to one another when an increase in the price of one good leads to an increase in the quantity demanded of the other good and vice versa. Was it clear? Substitute goods. Was the definition clear? See, you should say the yes or no. So that if no, I can again try
Sir,
to.
it is similar to law of demand, right?
Yes, it is similar to the law of demand. No. See, law of demand has got inverse relationship. మనకి ఇక్కడ పాజిటివ్ కర్వ్ వస్తుంది. Law of demand says price increases, quantity demanded decreases. Law of demand lo inverse relationship is there. But here, the price of coffee, it's very simple. See, what you do if the price of coffee is very higher? What we usually do, an average consumer,
We
what they
go for
usually
it.
do, they go for tea. They start buying more and more tea. Means the demand shifts from coffee to tea. Then what you can see here, an increase in the price of coffee is leading to an increase in the demand of another good, that is tea. So such goods are called as substitutes. There is a general classification of these two types of goods, related goods. So tea and coffee are said to be related goods. And what is the relationship here? Positive relationship. Okay. Price of coffee increases and the quantity demanded of tea also increases. Both are moving in the same direction. Increasing, one is increasing, even the other is also increasing. That is positive slope. Okay, so substitutes will have a positive curve. Remember this. Okay, so two goods are said to be substitutes when an increase in the price of one good leads to an increase in the quantity demanded of the other good and vice versa. Vice versa endukannanu? The other vice versa means one of its price decreases, the demand for the other increases. So one can replace each other in use. Okay. Effects of commodities demand in the same direction which price changes. Yes, the example you can see here, the rise in price of coffee shall raise the demand for tea. So let us not use the word vice versa here. let us not use vice versa here, because there is no logic in saying that if the price of one good decreases, the demand for the other increases. Okay, let us not use that here. Of course, that will happen. That will happen in this case. Where is that? I'll just tell you. Okay, that will happen here. Speculative, that is no fear of shortage. Okay, we'll not discuss that here, but remember here, two goods are said to be substitutes if change in the price. Okay, if the price of coffee increases, the demand of tea is shifted, the demand for tea increases. Okay, let us not use vice versa. We'll have a positive curve here. Then complementary goods. Now, as you understood substitutes, if substitutes are having positive curve, then what curve will the complementary goods have? A negative curve.
Negative.
We call it a downward curve. Okay. Now, how can we define that? Two goods are said to be complementary goods if so you can see here. Okay. If the decrease in price of one good leads to an increase in the quantity demanded of the other good. So best examples are bread and butter. Okay, actually butters, the price of butter will usually be very high. Okay, if the prices of butter have come down, then what happens usually? People start buying more and more bread because they can consume bread along with butter. Means there may be people who cannot afford butter and buy bread to eat them both together at higher prices. Then if the price of butter falls down, then what they do? then they start, as the price of butter has come down, they can purchase butter now. At the same time, they can also buy more and more bread so that they can consume bread along with butter. Okay, so this kind of goods are said to be complementary goods. You can see here pen and ink. Okay, where uh, the price of one good decreases, it leads to a demand to increase in the quantity demanded of its related good. Now we can say that fuel and automobiles. Okay, if the price of fuels comes down, okay, let us assume it drastically comes down, then the demand for automobiles will increase. So that they assume that yes, as a fuel price of fuels has come down, maybe we can purchase automobiles and start using this because it is, the fuel is now more affordable. Okay, such goods are said to be complementary goods. Sorry, it was a typo mistake. Complementary goods. So in case of substitutes, remember it is a positive curve. In case of complementary goods, it is a negative curve. Means price decreases, demand increases. That is a negative curve. As the price decreases more and more, okay, price is decreasing, and here quantity demanded increases more and more. That is, the curve will be a downward slope. Okay, so these are some of the factors. First one was price, income, and related goods. Okay, so these were the three important factors. Next one, tastes of the consumers. See, before we proceed, I want to remind you one thing. The law of demand, or any principle, any law in economics you take, what it says that all these laws are applicable only when all other factors remain constant. They mean to say that, see, for example, what the law of demand says, if the price falls down, the demand for a good will increase. And this law has got certain rules, assumptions. It means this law is applicable only when the factors which we're studying here, if we're studying law of demand, okay, we're studying with respect to price. It is truly applicable only when all the other factors remain constant, like income of the consumer should remain constant. Okay, even the related, okay, if not this related good, the taste of the consumers should remain constant. It means, for example, if the price of a particular mobile has come down, okay, then usually its demand should increase, right? It is possible only when the taste of consumers is constant. But in this highly dynamic environment where there are a number of promotional features and where there are products with a lot of innovation, right? Usually this factor, the taste of consumers remaining the same or remaining constant, is not almost possible. But still, the law of demand says it is possible only when all these factors remain constant. It is applicable. It is applicable only when all these factors remain constant. So the next fourth factor is taste of consumers. Okay. So if the taste of consumers change, okay, if my taste uh, moves towards one particular product, then obviously the demand for that particular product will increase. Okay, so in fact, taste of the consumers is one of the factors. Okay, price of the good, income of the consumer, price of related goods, then taste of consumers. Next, population. Okay, I'll just have a quick review of this. Population, it means if there is an increase in population in that particular area, then obviously the quantity demanded for goods will be increased a bit higher. So it depends on the population, increase or decrease. If the population increases, usually demand for necessities of life. So you can see here they use the word necessities or necessaries of life. It means this demand and law of demand, these principles are more related to agriculture and agricultural products. Okay, so increase in population leads to increase in demand. Similarly, decrease in population leads to decrease in demand for goods in that particular locality, geographical locality. Then government policy, right? So taxing a commodity. So whatever rules and regulations of the government, okay, if the government implements a high tax on certain particular product, then usually the demand will slow down. People do not like to purchase it. You can see maybe uh, once in a while when the budget is proposed, when there are heavy taxes on certain goods, usually what happens, the demand for those goods for that particular time period will usually come down. So whatever it is, if the government policy is in favor of the product, the demand for the product will rise. And if its policy is against the product, usually the demand will come down. Okay, so government takes a very strict rule, a strict policy saying that on all the tobacco products and alcohol products, there should be a skull symbol uh, kept, which is more visible. Okay, this percentage level increases. In fact, it was very small before, right? Maybe in 2014, I believe 2014 or 19, they proposed to increase this size of the skull on all such alcoholic and tobacco products. Then what should usually happen? If such policy comes against the products, usually the demand for those products will come down. Okay, so this is about government policy, one of the factors which will affect the quantity demanded of a product. Then expectations regarding the future. Okay, so I believe at least few of you will purchase vegetables for your parents, right? So a very unique example for this expectations regarding the future prices, onions. As you buy vegetables, see, usually during rainy season this happens. Okay, but the price of these onions, which was almost 10 or 15 rupees in summer, slowly starts increasing. It's when it's as soon as it starts, as soon as the price of onions start increasing from 15 to maybe 20, 30, you know, still the demand for onions increases. Oh, I think I should discuss this with to you people in the exceptions of law of demand. Okay, so anyhow, you just forget that the price of onions was less before. Simply, if we predict that the price of onions is going to increase in future, so this is the actual logic why people buy more and more onions even when the prices are increasing. This is because they expect that the price of onions will increase in the coming future. Okay, so are we running out of time? Still have 5 minutes time. Mr. Raghu is in a hurry to leave, I hope. Okay, so when we predict that the price of goods are going to increase in the future, even we start buying more and more. Or else even the reverse is the same. When we believe that, see, usually when a new mobile is launched in the market, what do people do usually? We feel like maybe next 2 or 3 months the price of this mobile phone will definitely come down, so let us wait. Now if you have this kind of attitude, what is going to happen for the demand of that particular product? Demand will come down. People don't buy now, they wait for the prices to come down further. Okay, so that is expectations. If you expect that the price is going to rise in future, you start buying more. When you expect that the prices are going to come down, you don't buy it, you wait it. It means the demand will slow down. Demand is slowing down. Climate and weather. So usually when the climate is cool, the demand for woolen goods is high. And when the climate is very hot, the demand for cold products is very much high. That is how the climate and weather influences. Then the state of business. It means whether the business what you are performing is in a boom. For example, IT. So whenever there is a the IT has a boom, usually the IT products, the services, IT services will have a very much demand. Okay, so it depends depending upon the state of condition your business, the nature of the business is upon the business conditions. Okay, then the demand will increase or decrease accordingly. Okay, yeah, I think factors are finished. Okay, we'll start this law of demand the next class. So just have a quick recap of all these factors: price of the commodity, income of the consumer, prices of related goods. So two types of related goods: substitutes and complementary goods. Remember. Then taste of the consumers, population, government policy, expectations regarding the future, climate and weather, and the state of the business. Okay. Even you can add another point to this also, that is advertisement. Okay. So because if a product is more and more advertised, there is a chance that the demand for the product can be increased a bit higher. Okay. And the next one will be the law of demand. So anyone is having a doubt with respect to your presentations tomorrow, you can ask now, or else I'll just speak a few words. So tomorrow, as soon as your presentation starts, as soon as our class starts on Wednesday, first hour. So without any much